Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Friends, before going into the details of the war, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell. Please support by subscribing and turning on the notification bell. We are a strong community. U.S.-China discuss relations, war in Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi discussed the rivalry between the two superpowers and Russia's war in Ukraine in a call Sunday, the State Department and Beijing's Foreign Ministry said. The top diplomats talked about the need to responsibly manage the competition between our two countries, Blinken said in a tweet. They also discussed the need for Beijing and Washington to keep open lines of communications and held talks about the war in Ukraine, the U.S. State Department said. Blinken raised Russia's war against Ukraine and the threats it poses to global security and economic stability, State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement. China has steadfastly avoided criticizing Russia for invading Ukraine and instead blames the United States and NATO for the war. The call comes as relations between the two superpowers nosedive over Taiwan and a litany of other issues, and is the first between the diplomats since Blinken warned China was speeding up its plans to retake the democratic self-ruled island. Beijing said Wang had raised on the call recent sanctions by the U.S. on China aimed at limiting its access to high-end semiconductors with military uses, and had called for diplomatic efforts in Ukraine. The U.S. side should stop its efforts to contain and suppress China, and not create new obstacles to the relationship between the two countries, a readout from the Chinese Foreign Ministry said. Wang Yi pointed out that bringing China-U.S. relations back to the track of stable development is not only in the common interests of China and the U.S., but also the general expectation of the international community, it added. Russia likely deploying Kinzhal missiles in Belarus for first time. UK Intel says the report says this type of jet is adapted to carry the Kh-47M Kinzhal nuclear-capable hypersonic aero-ballistic air-to-surface missile. They are named as 24 Killjoy in the summary, according to NATO classification. Russia has been using these missiles since 2018, but had not previously launched them from Belarus, the UK Ministry of Defense said. The Russian Federation occasionally used Kinzhals for strikes on Ukraine, but not often, as their stocks are likely very limited. With a range of over 2,000 kilometers, basing Killjoy in Belarus gives Russia little added advantage in terms of striking additional targets within Ukraine, the UK Intel notes. However, they believe that the main reason for the deployment of the Kinzhals in Belarus is rather to carry a propaganda message to the West and to portray Belarus as increasingly complicit in the war. Vadim Skybitsky, Major General of the GUR, Main Directorate of Intelligence, of the Defense Ministry of Ukraine, reported at the end of August that, according to Ukrainian intelligence, Russia has only 30 to 40 Kinzhal missiles left. These missiles are among the most problematic for the air defense forces of Ukraine, as they fly at an extremely high speed, making it almost impossible to shoot them down, Yuri Ignat, the spokesman of the Air Force of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, explained earlier. This is the newest type of missile adopted by Russia in 2018, Ukraine's Air Force Command said in earlier comments. In total, several dozen of them have been launched. The weight of the Kh-47M warhead is 500 kilograms, and the speed of the missile is more than 12,000 kilometers per hour. After launching from the plane, the missile rises to a high altitude in the upper layers of the atmosphere, and reaches maximum speed when approaching the target on a ballistic trajectory. UN nuclear watchdog starts dirty bomb claims probe in Ukraine. IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi says UN will release initial conclusions from the inspection later this week. The United Nations nuclear watchdog said it had begun inspections in Ukraine as part of independent verification of Russian allegations Kyiv is producing so-called dirty bombs. Inspectors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, have begun, and would soon complete verification activities at 2 locations in Ukraine, the agency said in a statement on Monday. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said he would later this week provide his initial conclusions about the latest verification activities at the two sites, the statement added. The inspections follow a written request from the Ukrainian government to send IAEA teams there. Russia has accused Ukraine of preparing to use dirty bombs against Moscow's troops. Ukrainian authorities have strongly denied the allegation as an attempt to distract attention from Moscow's own alleged plans to detonate a dirty bomb in order to justify its own escalation of hostilities. The agency said last week it had inspected one of the two locations a month ago and no undeclared nuclear activities or materials were found there. A dirty bomb is a conventional bomb laced with radioactive, biological or chemical materials which are spread in an explosion. Last Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin called for the IAEA to inspect Ukraine's nuclear sites as fast as possible. Putin has said the government in Kyiv wanted to cover the traces of the construction of a dirty bomb, claiming he also knew approximately where the construction was taking place. The IAEA in Monday's statement also urged the release of a Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant employee, who was detained some 2 weeks ago. The plant, Europe's largest atomic facility, was captured by Russian troops in March in the early days of the invasion. Grossi again stressed the plant's precarious situation, including his concern for the increasingly difficult and stressful working conditions for the plant's Ukrainian operating personnel. Another employee detained some 2 weeks ago was released recently, the statement said. Ukraine claims Moscow's forces are kidnapping the plant's staff and said recently that approximately 50 employees were held in captivity. Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of shelling the plant, sparking fears of a nuclear disaster. The IAEA has been in contact with Moscow and Kyiv to set up a security zone around the plant. Russia official fired after asking Putin to end Instagram and Facebook bans. A Russian official has been fired after asking President Vladimir Putin to end bans that were placed on Instagram and Facebook shortly after the Ukraine war began. Valeria Rytvina, founder of the Council of Bloggers under Russia's Federation Council, was expelled after the group appealed to Putin to reconsider the decision to block Instagram and Facebook. Facebook and Instagram were banned in Russia in March after a court labeled parent company Meta as extremist, amid a wider crackdown by Putin on independent news outlets and Western social media companies. Russian news outlet Vedomosti first reported news of the appeal, citing letters that the council sent to Putin. The council said that after the social networks were blocked, Russia has lost an effective channel for forming a positive image of the country, and Russian users have lost the opportunity to create content aimed at defending the interests of the country. The authors of the appeal said Russia is losing ground every day in the information war during the so-called special military operation in Ukraine. Russian alternatives to the social media platforms are unpopular and they have not become an equivalent and effective replacement for banned networks, the council said. Russian court imposes fine on Wikipedia for Ukraine articles. A Russian court fined the founder of Wikipedia for publishing articles about the war in Ukraine. The US-based Wikimedia Foundation, which established Wikipedia in 2001, was fined 2 million Russian rubles on Tuesday, about $32,600, for refusing demands to remove articles on Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.